Scoop City on the red side once again, casually reformed back onto the blue. And now we have to see what kind of picks are coming in, what kind of things are being prioritized. The bans have been the same across the board all series long. Casually reformed continuing that trend with the Lee Sin. They just do not want to see Jelly on that. And, it's the demonstration of the feast or famine nature of Scoop City that Jelly was just so insignificant in this last game, but they still have a perma ban against his Lee Sin. He's just too good on it.
I just want to see what they opt for now. Hey, Jelly in the first game obviously played the Amumu. That's definitely not Feast or Famine. That's more of your
Yep.
facilitator. But in the second
Yep.
game, he switches to Kha'Zix. And he gets, for lack of a better word, absolutely mauled. So does he just go back to that first game setup? Is what I'm wondering right now.
Yep. Absolutely. That's the question. So, let's see. Is that a none ban?
Um, Scoop
I'll
City
check. Oh,
getting real confident.
it was
They getting
Morgana. It
real
was
confident.
Morgana. They made a mistake there. That's a Morgana ban, that blank. So
Okay.
just
Is
picture
it
the
just
Morgana
the
ban in there.
draft
And fair
software
enough,
being...
Harley and Murphy down in the bot lane. Morgana was so dangerous as well. You can play it in mid, so it's definitely a good flex pick that Scoop City are wise to get rid of. But yeah, there you go. Lee Sin, Darius, Malzahar, the exact same bans, all three
But we
games
have
for
something
Casually
different
Reformed.
this time from Scoop City. Karma and Swain. That's
Yes, true.
strange.
Karma was banned before, but I'm not sure about Swain. They just really don't want to see that, and I guess maybe they just don't want to deal with Swain. I mean, I think fair enough. Swain is just annoying. Maybe that's their
Swain's just annoying. Fair
that's
enough.
their
Fair enough.
um their logic there. But 7 seconds left. Casually reformed. Go with Sejuani again. So there we go. Sejuani, old faithful, very, very useful in this late game. We saw casually reformed able to utilize that champion all game long. So Sejuani definitely can make a huge impact. Scoop have the answer now. 14 seconds left.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Sejuani worked out real nice last game, but if you're Scoop right now, your mind really should be on one of those meta picks because
Mm-hmm.
if you can outfarm and outpace the Sejuani, you're gonna be in such a good spot. And
There we go.
not necessarily what I was looking for in the form of worse Udyr, but
Yeah.
still something that probably will establish itself a little bit sooner than the Sejuani.
If it's worse Udyr, it's still kind of like Udyr, which means it's still not bad. And Olaf definitely is something that we've seen Jelly on before and seen Jelly have success on before. Oriana as well is being considered here. That would be a bit of a turn for bodybuilding, who has been kind of all over the map in mid picks this series. So Olaf, Oriana, a little bit of a combo there in the 2v2. Olaf definitely benefits from any sort of steroid or any sort of shield.
And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, is Scoop looking to play more relaxed this time, actually?
Mm-hmm.
This is looking more towards your full clear, obviously, with Olaf, not necessarily aggressive lane with Oriana. This seems to revolve more around the current meta in terms of how it's shaping out. So I'm wondering if they're going to be much more relaxed, play around their power spikes rather than scrapping the entire game. Do they have some sort of plan like that coming to this?
We'll see if they've got some sort of game plan. It's always hard to tell with Scoop if they're going to have a game plan or if they're just winging it the whole time. It's almost impossible to tell sometimes. Jinx and Thresh is the bot lane that's been picked up for Casually Reformed over on the blue side, and so that's definitely going to be looking for those scaling. You've got a bit of a protect the Jinx situation going on already with the Sejuani and Thresh, but well, Sejuani and Thresh don't do much against an Olaf if he gets going. So there we go.
The thing
Sivir
about
is the next pick.
Thresh is though, Thresh when paired with a hyper carry ADC can turn the hyper carry ADC from someone who can go even or behind in lane. Thresh can turn them into a lane bully. He just has so
Yes.
much presence when paired with someone who has that consistent output damage like Jinx.
Mm-hmm.
So a nice response here is the Sivir. Obviously, actually, is really looking like Scoop has some sort of plan to stall out the game and play around their power spikes. When you pick
Yeah.
someone like Sivir, you're really looking to control the pace of the game when it comes to
Yeah.
the side waves, where the waves are in the positioning.
Yeah, and it's interesting to look at for Scoop City. There's two champions picked up who have a go button, right? There's the Olaf and the
Ooh.
Sivir who both press R, both charge in. Speaking of a go button, we do have a stop button on Dinsbag. His set has been banned, and so we'll see what the top lane pick is and the adjustment is for Scoop City over here. And Dinsbag is being left to last. He wants that counter pick. Alistar being hovered here.
And I'm sure Dinsbag has got something really spicy for us. You know, Dinsbag's someone who definitely won't let a good opportunity to show up his opponent run dry. And so
Hmm.
when he's got that counter pick, you best believe something is going to happen that you wouldn't expect.
Absolutely. Blitzcrank. There we go. That's the pick. And yeah, Blitzcrank is an interesting addition to this composition so far. They're looking to go in and pull somebody out, I guess. It's, definitely going to be strong in lane. Definitely can be successful against something like
This
the
feels like a
Jinx.
strange pick.
Yeah,
It really does.
it's just a little odd into the rest of the
Yeah, wait,
champions
which
they
are you
have.
gonna grab? You're gonna
Yeah,
grab a Scion, then what?
yeah, there we go. Lots of tanks picked up. This is comp is faced focused so squarely on Harley here on the Jinx, who's going to be relied on for a lot of the damage. Mid pick is left though. Casually Reformed still have the chance to pick some sort of other carry, and we'll see what they go with. There's lots available right now. It's Royal after all. Mordekaiser is up, but
Diana.
Diana is picked, and that is another champion very similar to Echo in some ways, able to get so much assassination going on the backline.
And I actually really like this from Casually Reformed. I've seen a lot of teams when they pick Jinx not really realize that she is the hyper carry. I've seen teams pick Jinx and have other, I guess you could say, damage options. You don't really want to do that. When you want a Jinx, you need to commit onto the Jinx. Jinx, when not played around, is much.
Mm-hmm.
Her power level is much lower than some of the other ADCs that you might be finding, like Tristana and stuff like that. So, this comp, I think, looks really nice for them.
So Dinsbag's going on to the Ornn, a complete turnaround from the way he had been
Yeah.
going on the set. Ornn duty is where Dinsbag is
Am I
being put on.
disappointed? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, right? And Ornn against Sion, top lane is not going to be the focus whatsoever in this game. And so, yeah, we're going to be relying on, more of a team fight focused thing. Maybe Olaf to try to get that early advantage over the Sejuani, get that power farming going, and just try to take down this Jinx somehow. It's a very interesting one, Scoop City, and they've got something that's, not the easiest to execute in terms of scaling up into the late game compared to just like, well, there's one thing there's one sentence that describes what you've got to do in Casually Reformed, and that is protect the Jinx.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we will take another quick break for the spec delay. And once we are finished with that, we're going to be back with Game 3, the decider between Casually Reformed and Scoop City. We'll see you in a few.
Oh, there we
All
go.
right.
All right.
Game 3. Welcome back to the Canadian Esports Championship Series. Casually Reformed up against Scoop City have taken us to Game 3 here. And Intact, let's do it. Who do you think's gonna win? Let's hear your prediction for Game 3 right now.
I'm gonna say Casually Reformed. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this Protect the Jinx comp is probably gonna end up working.
Yeah, so easy to execute. Well, I guess I got to give my prediction as well, and I'm gonna go with Scoop City because you're just flipping a coin, and so I'm going with the 50-50 here, in my opinion. So Scoop City, I think they're going to take it. I think Dinsbag can play really well on Ornn as well. It's not as exciting a champion as someone like a Set or Darius. This time as well, we do see counter
they're
invade,
invading,
so no one's going to find each other here.
Wrong
Only
side.
invades.
We got two
Yeah.
5-man death balls, but they're roaming around the wrong side of the map from each other.
Yeah. Yeah, so not going to be any level 1 fights this game, or at least unless if Scoop City decide to try something absolutely heinous. Doesn't look like they're going to, so there is still going to be Casually Reformed and Scoop City even keel. Finally, a honest start of a game of League of Legends.
Is
no
this
cheesy
really
stuff.
that honest, though?
Yeah.
This is looking pretty dishonest when it boils down to it, because I think that Scoop City are going to be looking for that blue buff. They're going to be looking to counter jungle this from level 1, and because they 5-man deathballed on the bot side, they're not going to spot this one out until it's probably too late.
Yeah, Casually Reformed might not know about this steal. Yeah, indeed, that is what they're going for. So that is the question. Will they suss this out? Will Sean get 3-buffed by the Olaf? Remember, Olaf is
Ooh, Scion will see it coming.
Yeah.
This will be assigned to vertical jungle now. Sean does know, but will he be heading up to the blue in response?
Look at
Royal is actually here now. He's just going to leash it for him, I guess.
Just to maybe try to get a random steal or maybe some damage. Doesn't find it, though, and has to go back to lane. So there we go. That is going to be
hold on. Sean wants the vertical jungle, but he's being harassed.
Yeah, we'll see.
Aldrey on the Blitzcrank is harrying him all the way through.
Yeah,
And it looks like he can't even go for it. That is a terrible start for Sean this game.
oof. Yeah, even the Orianna walking down.
Oh my
No,
my!
no.
Honest game, you say, Wes? Honest game.
Yeah, this is nowhere near as honest as I expected. These are outlaws coming into the saloon today. Scoop City not playing by any of the rules, but here's
Murphy
the flash.
with the flash, but the hook coming in from the blitz. Oh, the death sentence lands on the side. He knows what his target is. Will force out the heal, but not the flash from Maiden ADC. Really nice awareness there from Murphy.
Yeah. Murphy's really good on this Thresh. Very nice death sentences so far. Continuing to look for those. We saw Aldrey on it last game. Now it's, yeah, Sion against Ornn up here. Going to be a lot less action-packed, most likely. As well, those two junglers not exactly the most conducive towards a bunch of early game skirmishes in the top side, though potentially they will want to go for them. But yeah, up against those tanks, that's not who you want to be focusing early on, probably. So pushing in, and Maiden ADC taking all that damage, even though he survives and doesn't blow any summoner spells besides heal, still is going to have
How
to...
does he find these death sentences, man? What is that? That's disgusting.
Just a field goal there, threading the needle and finding Maiden ADC again, this time blowing the flash. So yeah, Casually Reformed looking great here in Game 3 so far.
Absolutely, and as you said, Dinsbeck can play whatever he wants. He's looking pretty good on the Soren so far. But as I say that, the lane just shifts hugely. Daniel chunks out Dinsbeck out of nowhere.
Yeah, Dinsbeck took a tower shot there, so he's going to be playing with fire to continue, and looks like he is going to end up going back to maybe... Well, it looks like he is going to recall instead of building anything here. Royal, good for bodybuilding.
Nothing to be had here. Jelly is quite happy to continue farming up and outpacing Sean in this game so far. He's already up a couple of camps. Obviously, he pilfered the entirety of Sean's blue side.
Yeah, and only now is he even going to his own blue buff, so Sean is just way behind here. You can see he's a level behind. He's significantly behind in CS, and yeah, he's just completely shut down by this Olaf right now. This is just what you want with Olaf.
I mean, at this point, as Sean, you really have to flip a gank somewhere. It doesn't matter. You cannot allow yourself to continue falling behind like this, because no matter how hard you power farm to get back into it, you're never going to outpace the Olaf. You need to flip something now, and if it doesn't work, well, then it doesn't work. You go from a bad situation to a bad situation.
Yeah, exactly. And that, that's something Sejuani does, is she goes for ganks. She's got that crowd control. She can contribute to a fight really well as long as there's some damage to follow up. So I agree. That's probably what you want to go for, and here it is.
She's going to be flipping it. Dinsbeck, not exactly the easiest target to take down, and he shows it. He flashes right out of that one. Barely takes any damage in response. Sean, where do you go from here? You got no jungle, and what little jungle you have is being stolen by Jelly right now.
Well, I think the answer is to probably regank the Ornn, actually, just because you have blown that flash already. Of course, the Sivir doesn't have any flash either, but Ornn, it's Dinsbeck. He's going to continue pushing, so I wouldn't mind seeing him rotate back up. Of course, Dragon gets left by the wayside if you do that, so we'll see what that decision becomes. You can see Jelly already on Dragon, and I don't know if Sean's going to be able to do this. Olaf, a pretty fast Dragon soloer early on in the game, and so this one's going over without much of a fight unless Sean beelines it.
And yeah, it really does look like Scoop City have taken a page out of the meta. They're playing this one measured, slow, controlled as how do it. Obviously, a pick like Olaf, something you see in the meta right now, is showing why it is meta.
Yeah.
Just completely outpacing the Sejuani in every aspect of the game. Sivir also getting huge wave control, lane control over on the bot side, freeing Jelly up to maneuver all around the map. And all that while you have this Orianna scaling up in the mid lane, who will be ferocious when it comes to those later game team fights.
Dinsbeck was looking for a plate there and actually didn't end up finding it. Daniel manages to dissuade that, and he didn't want to stick around that far under tower anymore. So Dinsbeck, even with the HP advantage, still has to push another wave.
I mean, he definitely can. There's no threat to Dinsbeck right now. Even if Sean comes up, Dinsbeck can probably just waddle out of there if we're being real.
Yeah, he's got some great vision control around his. Well, oh look, I thought he had a ward in the bush, but it just expired, so he's only got that control ward in the Rift Herald pit.
That doesn't really spot him out though, and the
Yeah,
pit that's
doesn't
just
help
there for
him
the rift.
much. It's true. He had a ward and it just expired, so he does need to at least track the enemy jungler, but currently he's in no danger at all, not having to deal with any pressure from Sean after that initial gank, and so the flash being blown hasn't gotten much done yet. Meanwhile, though, CR do manage to continuously push into the bot lane turret, so that's going to be Jinx and Thresh having the advantage in that situation there, and definitely a good look for Jinx.
Yep. Both teams definitely content to just continue scaling this one out, continue playing their measured styles, but when it comes down to the end of things, Wes, who do you really favor in this then? Would you favor the ornaments plus the control of the Sivir and the Orianna, or would you favor the Jinx when it comes to these later game team fights?
Yeah, I predicted Scoop City to win right off the hop, but I was expecting an invade, and there wasn't one. I think Scoop City's not in their comfort zone at all. So if you let the Jinx keep scaling up, you've got all this crowd control to, dissuade the Scoop City players. The only thing about Scoop City that's endangering Casually Reformed right now is the Olaf.
Hold on, this is actually kill territory for Dinsbag, unless Daniel decides to ult away, and he doesn't. That's first blood over to the side of Scoop City, and it comes from the least expected source. Might be finding a quick second one here, though. The Ragnarok is popped. Does he have the lifesteal to take down Royal? He does! Oh. 1-for-1 trade! But that's still, in the end, 2 over to Scoop City, and they find themselves 700 gold in the driver's seat.
Well, just as I say that Olaf is the only threat, Dinsbag comes out with the orange solo kill, baby. But Jelly, of course, also very, very strong. That is the power of Olaf early on. That dueling power once you get low, that attack speed increasing, and takes down Royal, even though he sacrifices his life for it. Now, Sean's coming in, and here's the ultimate.
Here he comes. The unstoppable onslaught finds its mark into the decimating smash. And that's decimating Dinsbag back to the fountain. A nice response there, but hook for hook, you don't want to be under that tower, Thresh. Murphy finds himself in an uncomfortable spot. We'll save that flash, but the heal has to be expended from Harley.
If you're trading hooks, I favor Blitzcrank's hook every time in that situation. Murphy, it was not on the beneficial end of that exchange, and so yeah, that's going to be Murphy having to back out of there. Harley expending the heal, and now Aldrey's going back.
Aldrey doesn't care. He's going in for the next play, made in ADC, continuously dishing out that damage to Murphy. Murphy real low, tagging with a couple few axes should be enough to get the kill, and that's a double over to the side of Scoop City.
They actually get them both. Great work there by the bot lane of Scoop City, and really nice patience from Jelly to wait until he was lined up to hit both players with the axe. That is what secured both kills. Really, really well done there. That's going to be Scoop City extending this lead, and with Sivir being able to equalize in farm, maybe get a plate down there, able to get a couple of items, it's going to be really difficult now to continue to protect that Jinx now that Harley doesn't have the flash available. Olaf is just going to be barreling down your face every single fight.
And this is Olaf just showing how strong it is to get an early lead. 1v1 in the mid laner, then immediately going bot lane and finding 2. A nice breath there from Dinsbag to stop the CC, but that's not a very nice flash. Thumbs up emote comes through. You gotta know he's a little bit embarrassed about that one. And actually, bodybuilding, I'm not sure exactly this is where you want to be. There's 3 people staring you right down the throat, and there's no Dinsbag here to save you. Sean fails the tower juggling. He's going to go down. Royal tanking as well. Bodybuilding is still alive. Daniel has to flash in. Oh, what a disaster for the side of Casually Reformed.
Yeah, you're not playing Volley Bear anymore, Sean. You can't tower dive like that. But Royal, oh no!
Royal, he's going to flash forward. He's going to finish what they started. Maybe not so much of a disaster after all.
Yeah, bodybuilding just overextends there. A nice little bit of patience by Royal to wait in the bush there. You wouldn't necessarily expect it, and certainly bodybuilding didn't expect it. So Casually Reformed at least get a little bit more out of that. Scoop City are going to look for the dragon, but Murphy looking to disrupt. You can't fight Olaf on your own, but now if with the Jinx on the way, yeah, Jelly's going to have to leave that one alone. And the question is, do CR let it reset?
Doing
Looks
it?
like
they can hold it maybe until Sean comes, but I'm not sure if that's what they want to do.
That's a little bit late there, so they're going to wait and see if Sean wants to do that dragon later on, but they do get Jelly off of it. That's valuable. You'd want to, kind of avoid that soul scaling there. And yeah, so Jelly has to back off. The bot lane now in favor of Casually Reformed, though.
This last play just made me really laugh, man. You talk about the duality of Scoop City, right? But how much of that is just the duality of Dinsbag?
Yeah.
Man gets a nice bellows breath to dodge the stun and immediately fails the flash and dies.
Yeah. Oh, it's just amazing. Feast of Famine.
Speaking of dying, that's probably where Aldre's gonna find himself. Smitten down by Murphy, actually. Kill going over to the Thresh. Not sure if that's where it wants to be going towards. Dinsbag and Daniel in another 1v1, but Ornn has the higher base damage, as it seems. Will he continue the chase? The E? No, man! He hits his own pillar and stops his own charge. Gonna get him a little bit short there, but that is still gonna be the Cloud Drake over to Casually Reformed.
Yeah, Daniel expended the ultimate there. And so did Dinsbag, of course. So that's going to be the two big tanks getting real frisky with each other up in the top lane, but nobody going quite back to the fountain just yet. Finally, Daniel will recall instead of dying. Dragon did go over to Casually Reformed, so that equalizes both in gold, both in kills and in dragons here, and pretty much in gold as well. Scoop City just a little bit ahead in that respect, but you can see Royal has finished the Night Harvester. Diana pretty much the only Night Harvester user left where it's viable, in my opinion, but definitely Diana can make very good use of that item, and Royal's going to be bursting down some folks pretty soon.
And yeah, you can already see how much this has shifted the tempo of the lane. Bodybuilding is having to stand so far back compared to early in the lane where he was having that commanding position of using the range advantage.
Yep.
He's really scared of that Night Harvester Diana, and with good reason.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, the call came that the roam was coming through this time. The hook
buddy,
trade.
Where are you going, man? He's on a bit of an adventure, but he hasn't quite got the right map. I guess it was a good attempt.
Well, the Herald was nicely done there in terms of, getting plate money just before the plates fell. Daniel and Jelly
Hold on. Daniel's been found out. Jelly can tag him with those axes to infinity. But meanwhile, Bodybuilding is actually the one that's been caught out. He's going to be taken out first. So this is a 2v3 unless they can take out Daniel at the beginning. Yes, they can. But now they have to deal with the corpse and the Thresh that's shown up to the fight. But meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Harley, without his partner, has been abused. Royal looking to clean it up. Dinsbag's got nowhere to go, no way out. Will be looking just to survive for as long as he can. But Dash comes through. Unstoppable is the Diana. And, it looked measured for about 7 minutes, and then it devolved into chaos so quickly.
They were like, all right, we're going to play really calm, really... they couldn't even say it with a straight face intact. That is just not the way these teams play, especially not Scoop City. They just go in every time they see an enemy. That was a nice little play from Royal, just a nice little micro play. He waited on the dash until the Ornn used his, so confirmed that kill by just a little bit of nice patience and trigger discipline. Good job there by Royal. Casually Reformed are 1,000 gold behind, not even... Well, yeah, just over 1,000 gold behind. They are equal in kills as well. And, yeah, in terms of a Jinx comp, I think that Casually Reformed are happy with this game state.
And the most curious thing for me, actually, in that last play wasn't anything that happened on the top side. It was, what was Harley doing? Like, the camera cut to him for like half a second, and he's just running up the river like there's a crocodile chasing him. Speaking of that, Bodybuilding's gonna pig chasing him. He's gonna find the double shockwave, but those are both tanks. They're not gonna be really too concerned about that one. Call the Forge God coming through. He can maybe trade one back onto Sean, and he will. Dinsbag, reliable as always in finding these 1-for-1s, finds yet another one, and a 1v2. How was that hook long enough to hit him? Those blitz buffs from like a year ago, I forgot about those. That was insane.
Max range blitz hook. It's plays like that that make the blitz running animation look the funniest, because he just waddles around the corner and he's like, I'm here to help, and pulls Scion in. Dinsbag manages to get both on the other side, so that's Scoop City once again staying up in kills. And once again, Dinsbag just showing he is threatening on no matter what champion he uses. But the real threat right now is Jelly. Like we said, that Olaf 3-1-1 Stridebreaker completed, and farming up a storm here as the rest of Scoop City start to push into mid. They do secure the turret, And once again, Scoop City just so much better at taking turrets early on in the game, and it gives them a lot of map control here. Casually Reformed, like I said, they're still just waiting for that Jinx to be unlocked, but there's a lot of time before that 2 or 3 item spike happens, and in that time, Scoop City have been getting that map control, and they want to translate that into objectives.
And it is really not looking good for them because while Diana may be fed, one thing about Diana is she's pretty hit or miss. When the opponents do have flash, and I don't think these teams are really keeping track of flash timers. Diana's actually really not that great. Same with if they buy a Zana's or a stopwatch. And you just see Royal here finding himself in a sticky situation. Also, when they're split up, when they're not grouped, it's very hard to take down multiple members. And the weaknesses of Diana on full display there. I don't think Royal is really a reliable candidate to bring Casual Reform to that point where Jinx can be online.
Yeah, a lot of the gold is sitting on Royal right now, and like you say, there are ways to play around the Diana, very, very basic ways with all this crowd control available. So, there's Sean.
Hold on!
Jelly's
going insane! He wants this 1v3, but does he want the smoke? Well, he doesn't want the smoke, but the rest of his team certainly does. Double to Maiden ADC and another one over to bodybuilding. 3 in the bank account of Scoop City.
And check out Maiden ADC on this play. Here is the pull. Sean goes back in with the lantern, and Olaf is coming in on the side. He's going in. Maiden ADC just charges down the mid lane. Olaf almost gets them both, and here is the Q. The pizza comes in, and Maiden ADC gets the double, and also bodybuilding finds one. So that's going to be Scoop City with a huge power spike.
Hold on. Unstoppable Onslaught gonna be flashed away from it. That's a pretty big cooldown when it really comes down to finding out the backline of Scoop City there. Dinsbag, meanwhile, manages to save his call of the Forge God. Doesn't really matter, though, because that Drake just went down, so not looking to get into too many fights for these next few minutes.
Yeah, a couple of dragons now for Scoop City racked up. Ocean Soul is available to them if they do manage to grab 4 of those. Ocean Soul, one of the strongest, of course, and on a champion such as Olaf, well, you are looking at a really bad time if you're Casually Reformed and that Ocean Soul goes over to Jelly, who's already starting to get pretty damn fed on this Olaf. So impressive stuff so far from Jelly, definitely making up for his performance on Kozik's last game where he was very inconsequential to their defeat. And Scoop City looking to make a bit of a turnaround here. You can also see on Sivir, there's no Mythic being looked at. It's Essence Reaver into Infinity Edge here.
And one thing I want to talk about, though, is Jelly seems to have been, fallen down a peg from where he was in the early game. He was in that really commanding spot, but I don't know if it's been because he's been mismanaging his camp timers or whatnot, but his CS is a little bit lacking compared to the rest of his team and the rest of the game now. But I don't think CS really matters when kills are what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it on Daniel, but still a pretty scary death ball roaming around.
Absolutely is. Baron is about to come up, and they're all grouped around it. It would be just like Scoop City to go for that, but they decide not to. Instead, choose to work their way up mid. Maiden ADC blocks that one for the flex. Sean is waiting in the wings. This is a very important fight, and if Sean looks for some sort of flank with Sejuani, they could look for something. Daniel is recalling. Unstoppable Onslaught is available.
But if you find the flank, who do you find it onto? That prison can be spell shielded if it's onto Sivir. There's only one real target, and that's the Orianna. They go for Jelly, and he's just got Ragnarok. He's Ragnarok running around in a circle. He comes back for seconds, though, as the Scion gets hooked in, and no amount of HP is going to save you there in the middle of 4. Daniel goes down as a sacrificial offering.
And I got so excited about that team fight because there was a 3-way pincer set up. It was a really cool looking team fight setup. But the thing is, you're a Jinx comp. You are not looking to do those big engages. Diana is not your main source of damage right now. Unfortunately, though, she kind of is. And so, see what they get out of this
and
one.
Diana goes in and finds 3, but it's still not enough to take down Maiden ADC. That requires the Jinx rocket to finish them off. Now the Get Excited passive is on for this Jinx. What can Harley get done? Finds 1, finds 2. Can she get the 3rd and the 4th? Jelly gets hooked up and knocked down. It's all down to Aldrean. He is the next on the chopping block. 4. Over to the side of Casually Reformed, and you thought that Jinx couldn't get online, but here it is.
Wow, the Kraken Slayer is the only completed item on Harley, but as soon as Harley gets excited, the fight is over. Look at this. Jelly's way on the other side. Ragnarok has already been used from the initial engage, and they re-engage with Harley on the back line untouched in that fight. Jinx just popping off, and now that Jinx is unlocked, now that the potential of that type of fight is there, Scoop City have got to be shaking in their boots, because this is the late game we were talking about. As soon as Jinx finishes the next item that is coming through, that's going to spell disaster for Scoop City if they can't find some way to get onto her. And here is how they prepared that fight. When they went in for that big engage, it felt like the only thing they really needed to do was get Olaf to pop the Ragnarok, because that is all that protected Jinx in that fight, was Ragnarok not being available. So if they continue to be able to bait that spell out, it's such a critical piece of what Scoop City needs in order to take down this Jinx.
And also, that was really a big case of Scoop City being way too overconfident. They opted into a 4v4 there in the mid lane because they had sent bodybuilding down towards the bot side.
Yeah.
But even without the Orianna, hold on, just a second, speaking of the Orianna, finding a two-man shockwave, but that won't get you out of danger. Shut down, a kill over to Royal, another bit of gold donated to the Diana's pockets. But yeah, going back to the original point, when you're in the mid lane 4v4 like that, you can't get sloppy just because you have a lead, because one of your members is gone. Yeah. They group up because they got overconfident and they got punished for it. Into a Diana, you cannot be positioning like that. And that's going to mean the Baron over to Casually Reformed, that pick does.
Casually Reformed just using this Jinx comp, using their crowd control and their team fight abilities in order to get those skirmishes together. You saw the Thresh flank, but honestly, Royal could have gotten that kill on bodybuilding all on his own, most likely. Royal is very strong right now, and while there is counterplay available to the Diana, eventually it starts to run out, especially when you're this fed. So the dragon is up. Scoop City are going to go on to Soul Point here if they do manage to secure this dragon. They don't do it that quickly, though. You can see
they
Here's
found
the hook,
somebody. Murphy goes over the wall, only to find himself back on the other side with his flash gone. Daniel looking to poke through this front line, but it's looking kind of impenetrable here. Dinsbag with the call, the Forge got onto 3, but Royal on the backside finds 4. Shockwave goes a little bit wide as bodybuilding now is the one in danger, as Harley getting excited, has a double. Can he find the triple? The Ignite takes him down, and that's a Drake secured by Casually Reformed.
The Drake and the Ace. Look at this team fight. Now, Royal had a great ult on the backline, but watch Harley in this fight. I just cannot say it enough. They do not manage to touch him. If Harley is allowed to auto-attack this much, you do not win the fight. No exceptions. You simply cannot win if Harley is allowed to do that, and that is exactly what Harley is allowed to do there. So even though Casually Reformed lose a couple, Scoop City lose so much more, and finally, Casually Reformed have taken the gold lead in this game.
And a little bit of a folly from bodybuilding, not necessarily his fault in the panic of the moment, but that shockwave he hit, sure, he hit 2, but he missed Harley. And if you miss Harley, that's pretty much missing the shockwave.
Yep, exactly. You know, as much as you can kill Royal, you can kill Murphy, you can kill Sean all you want. If you can't get Harley, you lose the fight. That's just the end of it. And you know that they know exactly what they need to do. It's just the execution of it is a whole other story. We'll see if they can get it. The 2 dragons, there's no chance of Soul anytime soon at all. And so they need to find some sort of blitzcrank hook. Remember, they got one onto Murphy early on, but they were more focused on trying to finish off the dragon, so Murphy was just allowed to flash out. They need to find those picks right now because they cannot take a fight if they don't have some sort of flank or some sort of positioning to take down that Jinx.
And this is where Scoop City's draft weaknesses really come into full display. Against a comp like this, where you protect the puppy, you funnel the Jinx, Orin is not who you want to have as your top laner. You want to be setting up some sort of 1-3-1 to try and force this comp to split up, to push different pressure points on the map to avoid that death ball. But Scoop City have none of those options right now with what they've selected for themselves. They can continue to stall with the Sivir, but how far is that going to get you? Because even with that, you're going to have to be forced to fight eventually.
You absolutely are. I'm curious to see if the Sivir ever goes for a Mythic here. I'm not that familiar with this build. I'm just wondering about that. Murphy find a hook onto Maiden
speaking
ADC.
of her, a hook onto her, and they're looking for Harley. The Forge God hits him into the Blitz hook as well. Everything comes through to try and save him, but nothing is enough. That's going to be the Jinx. The puppy has been slaughtered.
Oh,
now what can they get out of this? For that brief 30 seconds that Harley is not on the map, can Scoop City get some semblance of control back?
there aren't any objectives to take. That's the one silver lining. So this whole plan doesn't quite come crumbling down for Casually Reformed because there isn't anything available for Scoop City to take. They've already gotten almost all the inner turrets, and there aren't any neutral objectives on the map. So Harley, way out of position there, it has to be said. You should not be anywhere near that blitz hook, and just getting a little greedy for some more farm, looking for probably something along the lines of that GA, maybe a Bloodthirster with that BF sword in the inventory right now. But yeah, Harley cannot be in that position, way out in front at that point. And if they're just lucky that the map was in a state where they weren't able to take any objectives off of it, because that was a great engagement coming in from Scoop City there in order to isolate that Jinx.
Absolutely so, and interesting to see that Jinx has gone for the Lord Dominix over the Infinity Edge, considering that the only real tank threat is the Dinsbag on the opposite side.
Yeah, I think you see the Ornn and you're just like, oh man, I need the armor pen. But for some reason in our league, Lord Dominic's second has been really common with ADCs. I'm not sure exactly why they do it, but so many of them do it. And
I've actually seen it quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's actually it's decent.
It's a common thing in all pro play, but in particular in our league, almost all of them do it, interestingly enough. So, and Harley in particular likes it. So, fair enough, if that is...
Fair enough. I can't really knock him for it.
Yeah, I haven't done the math. I think that you probably want Infinity Edge against this team. I think you're right, but... We'll see. Maybe that is what's coming in from this BF sword. You do want to work towards GA at some point because you know exactly what that enemy team is trying to do to you. But Infinity Edge gives you such a huge amount of damage at this point.
If that is a GA he's going for, and that's an if, I would always prefer to see the stopwatch over the BF
first,
sword.
Yeah.
Because you got 3 items, that's enough damage. What matters is if you're alive to do that damage. And stopwatch is what guarantees you that. And that's something really common you see. Not necessarily, I don't want to say lower elos, but away from pro play is, we saw it earlier with the Morgana not buying stopwatch. And Royal, though, he did have his Zanyas. He paid his tax and he's still alive. The fight breaks out, but it's really messy. Nobody can isolate Harley whatsoever. On the backside, he's dishing out damage. That's a double with that rocket. Everyone's scattered to the winds, and that's 3. Can he turn it into 4? This is pen-to-kill territory if they can lock down Dinsbag, but no. He flashes over the wall. They're going to be content with 3, and they're going to be content with a dragon on their hand.
They're putting themselves on soul point. You can see, like you said, this fight was absolutely all over the place. The double kill comes in as the Super Mega Death Rocket was the one to finish that one off. Then a triple kill as the W finishes Sivir just as the spell shield runs out. So now the dragon's been taken, and off of that, Casually Reformed have enough time to head over towards the Baron as well. Jelly has to decide at this point, do I try to go for some sort of steal? Critically, the Olaf is running Ghost, not Flash, so you've got to use that blast cone to get over.
Speaking of running, that's what he needs to do right now. He's been caught out by Royal, by a Harley, and that's another kill into the pockets of Jinx, and that is massive. 10 kills for the Jinx. There is almost no hope I'm seeing for Scoop City in this game, unless they find something crazy.
They had such a great opportunity in this game. They were rotating so well. The Olaf was such a problem for Casually Reformed, but just a couple of team fights where Jinx is allowed to pop off. This is exactly what I was talking about. You can't allow it to happen. And, they have found a way. They've basically gotten to the point where Jelly is no longer an instant kill threat for Harley. And so at that point, like you said, what do you even do? What is the way back into this game? They need to find some sort of pick, and Royal might be their prey right now.
Royal does seem to realize what's going on, though. He's heading in that bush, and he's backing on out of there. And
Baron buff.
I predicted Casually Reformed to win this game at the beginning because in a level of play such as this, protect the carry comps are so much more effective than you would see in high challenger, pro play, because what protect the ADC comp requires from the opposing team is for them to always be on their A game in fights.
Yes. Yep.
The only way to go around that requirement is to draft side lane options, and that's not something that you really see recognized too often. And you can see it right here. Harley is just running a train on him on that backside. Nobody can get to him. Rocket comes through, unstoppable. Another one on the plate. and it's just Dinsbag trying his best to run away, but in the end it looks like it's going to be futile. Last one remaining on the side is going to be bodybuilding, but he's got to build himself a wall to try and separate him from this team, and it doesn't look like any amount of mortar is going to get him around that one.
The bricklaying not sufficient. Neither is the working out. As here is the last replay of what happened in the ending tower dive. It was such an extended chase here. Bodybuilding gets the shockwave onto 2, but Daniel is really all that's needed, and Harley finally gets in position. Couple auto attacks, boom, bam, you're done. And that is going to allow Casually Reformed to break the base. Jelly is alive, as well as Aldre. Maiden ADC is about to go up, but they can do absolutely nothing against the onslaught from Casually Reformed. There's Blitz going for a hook onto Harley, and it's just impossible.
It's just too hard.
So they break the base, they get an inhibitor, and now the question is, where do you go from here? You're looking for Soul Point. That's one thing that you've got. You also have the Baron buff for a little while longer. So Scoop City, it's all but done. They need a miracle. They need a mistake from Casually Reformed in order to get back into this one.
Alden needs to hit the hook of his life. Aldre does.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no other way.
Yes.
You need to hit an amazing hook into an amazing shockwave. If you can't blow up the Jinx in that one moment, it's over.
Agreed. Yep. It is all about Jinx right now. If they can find a pick, Harley did get out of position that one time. It's very volatile. If Harley does that again, if they find some sort of rotation or some sort of vision advantage that allows them to catch out Harley, well, then Scoop City have a chance. But that's a big, big if right now.
And even if, Royal is actually still quite strong. And when it comes to team fights where you have to be grouped up in some capacity, there's nothing saying that he can't carry this fight either. He's 10-3 for a reason right now.
Yep, you can see as well. The other thing to think about, of course, is Scoop City does have Ornn, so they're going to have those ornaments coming in. The Kraken Slayer already upgraded, and the Leandry's upgraded on Sivir and Orianna, respectively. So that is going to give them some extra power, but against the Jinx, what does it really do?
What is it really going to do, and what's it going to be for Jelly? Ragnarok having to be expended so early here is huge. He really, really needed that if he wanted to be able to get into the pit and look for a steal. Without that, he's relegated to the sidelines and praying. There's no active way for him to get into a dragon pit once that Ocean Drake does spawn. I like this play from Scoop City, though. They're utilizing the Sivir to get that wave pushed in and force Casual Reformed into some kind of response here. With that, they can look to try and reset the positioning around the Drake. However, Casually Reformed are still going to be the first ones. The first step onto that ocean is theirs, and it is already spawned. And Scoop City are nowhere to be seen. Ocean Soul over to Casually Reformed in an unstoppable onslaught without wasting a single moment of hesitation. Dinsbag on that front line is just going to be made quick work of by that Jinx, who is 14-6 after the double kill. Daniel still zoning out the rest of Scoop City, as a Scion does, as the rest of the cavalry arrives, and it's only a matter of time for Aldre. A 5-man shockwave, but what can that do against the unstoppable wave of Casually Reformed? Into the base they go. It looks like this game's over. 30 seconds on Dinsbag, 27 on Jelly. My screen here has frozen, so I can't quite see if they've ended or not.
I think that the freeze means that Scoop City surrendered. That is what happens with the spectator bug, so I'm almost sure that is going to be the game. And it's a little anticlimactic for us, but of course, that is up to the teams. They're allowed to do it, and we get a little spectator bug for it. But it's going to be Casually Reformed taking the series 2-1 over Scoop City with just a great performance in the end. They pick an easy to execute comp, they execute it properly, they get the Jinx straight up, fed as hell, and then they end the game with the Jinx winning those team fights for them. It was just, that's exactly the type of thing we like to see in this league. It's the answer to Scoop City's chaos is just a little bit of structure.
And that protect the ADC comp is exactly what you use to take advantage of the chaos, because when nothing is organized, when the other team's not coordinating to take out what they need, you get what you just saw there. They got off to such a good start, Casually Reformed did, and they just tossed it all away at that one inhib turret fight where they weren't on their A game. They slipped up for just a moment, and that one moment was enough to bring that game back.
It was indeed. And yeah, Casually Reformed are now getting closer and closer to the top of that leaderboard to challenge those top teams like Birds Aren't Real, who are, starting really dominant. You haven't been here, so you haven't heard some of these great names.
Birds are real. I like
We're,
that
we're,
one.
we're only getting started intact. But you're going to be joining us in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for joining us now, and good luck with what's left of your
Thank you.
schoolwork, man. And thanks for coming by and casting. Thanks also to everybody who dropped by to check out this afternoon series. We had a great time today, and thanks to Casually Reformed and Scoop City for giving us a nice wild series as always. So there we go. Congrats to Casually Reformed. That's going to do it for us tonight, this afternoon, this evening at the Canadian Esports Championship Series. My name is Wes Rambo. I've been joined by Intact. We got Pinello on the sticks. Thank you for all the production work, and we will see you next time. Stay safe, stay salty.
Peace.